the 90s was a great time for horror. It introduced us to iconic franchises like Scream, I Know What You Did Last Summer, and Leprechaun. And he went to the hood, so you know he's a really cool guy. And today I decided I would look at some of my favourite 90s horror movies, and there's quite a lot of them. 16 or 17 in this video. So if you enjoyed, feel free to subscribe because this took a bloody while to make. Also, this is going to be in no, official order. This isn't, going, from worst to best, best to worst. It's just the order I wrote it down on my script. So, yeah, with all that out of the way, let's get into it. Beginning it with... Silence of the Lambs is a masterful psychological thriller. It blends horror and crime elements together seamlessly, and it is one of my favourite horror movies out there. The film follows FBI trainee Clarice Starling, who's played by Jodie Foster, as she seeks the help of imprisoned cannibalistic serial killer Dr. Hannibal Lecter to catch another serial killer known as Buffalo Bill. And the film excels in its tension-filled storytelling with an unforgettable performance from my boy Anthony Hopkins, phenomenal actor. And it's got some chilling characters, creepy dialogue, and a horribly eerie atmosphere. And as a person who's read this book before, I must say, this perfectly encapsulates it, amazingly. And it's no wonder that it earned 5 Academy Awards, including Best Picture. Candyman is a chilling and thought-provoking horror film that blends supernatural horror with some social commentary in there. It's based on Clive Barker's short story, and it follows graduate student Helen Lyle as she investigates the urban legend of Candyman, a vengeful spirit with a hook for a hand who appears when his name is spoken 5 times into a mirror. Tony Todd's haunting performance as Candyman, combined with a really eerie score, like the opening to this movie, is always so unsettling to me. It really creates just a really disturbing atmosphere that lingers all throughout the bloody film, and it's got some really cool artistic visuals in there, and it delves into several different important themes such as rage, poverty, and also just power. It makes it a huge standout in 90s horror for me, and it's also just one of my favourites. I'm not a fan of the remake though. Sleepwalkers is a film based on one of Stephen King's works. So you know it's going to have one of 6 stories that usually includes random teenager that finds this supernatural thing and then a few people die, and that's about it. And this definitely doesn't shy away from that, because this story follows Charles Brady and his mother Mary, who are shape-shifting, energy, soul-feeding creatures, and they move to a small town in search for their next victim. They target a young girl named Tanya, and the film is kind of campy. It's got some kind of creepy visuals though, and unexpected moments of dark humour. While it definitely doesn't take itself too seriously, its blend of King's just typical storytelling. He has 5 stories he just recycles over and over. As much as I love the man's books and how much I will compliment him for what he has done for horror, he kind of needs to work on his ideas. Jurassic Park is a groundbreaking horror film. And yes, I'm calling it a horror film. Sure, it's mainly PG, it's literally rated PG here in the UK. I don't care, piss off. It's just a great standard blockbuster filmmaking movie. I don't know where the hell I'm going with this. I accidentally skipped a few words in my script. And it's directed by Steven Spielberg, and it's based on a novel. And the film follows a group of scientists who are going to a theme park populated by dinosaurs. And when the park fails, chaos ensues and people die. And though I'm sure the book is more creepy than the actual movie, I have read a portion of the book in English class. Shout out Mr. Giles, by the way. Great teacher. It seemed more eerie than the actual movie. The movie's more fun, family kind of thing. And I do have a few family films on this list, and this is definitely one of those which I will watch every now and then, just because it is so just magical in the way in which they brought everything to life, and I love it. Scream is a clever and self-aware slasher film that revitalized the horror genre. It's got a blend of satire, suspense, and brutal kills. It's directed by Wes Craven and written by Kevin Williamson, and the story follows high school student Sydney Prescott, who's played by Neve Campbell, as she becomes the target of a mass serial killer known as Ghostface. And the film has some amazing dialogue, witty humour, and sharp commentary on horror tropes. And while still delivering some genuinely scary and just tense moments. It's got an iconic opening scene with Drew Barrymore, which sets the tone for the film. It also expertly balances the horror and the comedy of the film by the fact that they market the whole bloody thing around Drew Barrymore being in it, then they just kill her off. I think that's great. And it definitely redefined the slasher genre, which is a good thing. That was getting weird in the 80s. Too many Friday the 13th films. I don't know how that franchise got that big. Great match, though. I Know What You Did Last Summer is another screamy movie. It's just a suspenseful teen slasher film that's just a staple of 90s horror. It's just, the story of a few friends who, after a night of reckless driving, accidentally hit a pedestrian and try to cover up the crime. A year later, they begin to receive threatening messages from someone who knows their secret, leading to a series of terrifying encounters with the mysterious hook-wielding killer. And the film definitely builds tension with its eerie atmosphere, good pacing, and some memorable sequences. While it definitely doesn't stay away from just your typical 90s horror fare, it definitely captures just the anxiety of youth, because if I did something like that, I would definitely try and just do what these guys did, because I would be bloody horrified. I'd prefer the scary movie route where they're all just pissed drunk and the guy's absolutely fine, but, yeah. Wes Craven's New Nightmare is a great meta-horror film. It definitely is, started, paving the way for Scream. This was Wes Craven's tasting ground for it. And it's directed by Wes Craven, obviously. And the movie serves as a fresh take on the Nightmare franchise, which was getting a bit dumbed down with all the crappy sequels and just horrible, horrible writing. And it stars Heather Langenkamp, who played Nancy in the original film, and she experiences eerie events suggesting that Freddy is trying to escape the confines of cinema and invade her life. The film stands out for its bold narrative, exploring a lot of meta. I like me a good bit of meta, unless it's Mark Zuckerberg's one. I do enjoy this film for what it is, though. It is a phenomenal movie, and it's got some good Freddy in there. He's actually scary in this, rather than just saying his favourite swear word over and over. The Crow is a haunting and stylish revenge thriller. It blends a gothic atmosphere with supernatural elements, and it's directed by Alex Proyas and based on some comics/graphic novels. The film follows Eric Draven, who's played by the late Brandon Lee, a rock musician who's resurrected by a mysterious crow to avenge the brutal murder of himself and his fiancée. The movie's dark, rain-soaked visuals and just gritty urban setting definitely create a unique aesthetic. And while it definitely explored the theme of loss, Brandon Lee's loss with this film just really ups it for me, because he gives just a phenomenal performance in this movie. He is amazing in this. I would love to see him return in other movies. Sadly, he couldn't because he passed away in this film, but I would have loved to see what he did. And in this movie, he plays just a really cool character. And the way that he is able to just be angry and funny at the same time is really cool. Following that, I have Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. It's a great take on the Scooby-Doo formula. It blends mystery with actual monsters. And the story follows the Mystery Inc. gang as they reunite to investigate a haunted bayou island in Louisiana, where they encounter real zombies and real cat creatures. The film is definitely different from the others, and it's definitely a refreshing twist on just the usual master villain who was always just some random old guy who wanted money. And it's got some great voice acting and an iconic soundtrack. It's Terror Time again, it goes bloody hard. Seven is a gripping psychological thriller that stars Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt. I love Morgan Freeman. Fun story about Morgan Freeman. My grandmother apparently met him at a bar one time in like the Caribbean. She was just at a bar and they apparently met there, so shout out my grandma. But yeah, the film is amazing. It's got some brutal like scenery, some really disgusting bits as well. The atmosphere is tense and it's just really, really cool. Like, it's got a phenomenal score and it's got some great memes. Tremors is a charming, entertaining blend of horror and comedy, and science fiction. It's eventually gained a cult following over the years, but originally it flopped. And yet, this is the dark era of Kevin Bacon's acting career, which I'm pretty sure is coming back now, because that man, I haven't seen him in any movie, but he is always on these EE ads in the UK. But yeah, the film stars Kevin Bacon and Fred Ward as the unlikely heroes trying to survive the onslaught of graboids. The practical effects and creature designs are so good, especially for their time. It adds to the film charm, with some amazing witty dialogue, engaging characters, and some pretty good action in there. And sure, Kevin's Bacon character just wants to have sex with a new lady in town, but besides from that, the rest are pretty good. Funny Games is a disturbing psychological thriller. It's directed by Michael Hank, and the film challenges the boundaries of just violence in cinema. It follows a well-off family who become the target of two young men who invade their home and subject them to a series of sadistic games. Fun games, you know? Funny guys. The chilling narrative is really unsettling. It utilizes long takes and an almost, like, charm as well. Like, it's kind of just dark comedy at the same time as just being really just disturbing. The film's got great pacing and a really minimalist approach to the horror up until one certain scene, which if you haven't seen this movie, all I'm gonna say is remote. And it's got a great critique of like media violence in there, and just the desensitization of like horror audiences, because like I watched this and I was just like, alright, what's next? And the director would actually go on to remake the movie for Americans, which I do have that on DVD. I don't have the original. I'll get that eventually, don't worry. But this one's pretty good. Bride of Chucky is the only good comedy Chucky movie. You know, it's got a wickedly entertaining cast. It's got a wickedly entertaining cast and blend of horror and comedy. And it revitalised the Child's Play franchise with its blend of humour and a lot of gore. It's directed by Ronnie Yu, who would later go on to direct Freddy vs. Jason, and the film introduces Tiffany Valentine, the former girlfriend of Chucky, who believes that they're gonna get married in this movie, and she resurrects his doll form, just to help him become human. And, well, he's a terrible human being, so we know how this relationship will go. Newsflash, they're still together. Blade is an amazing action horror film. It stars Wesley Snipes, the only Blade, a half-human, half-vampire hunter who hunts down vampires to protect humanity. And it's got a really cool aesthetic. Blade is sick, like, I can't lie. It's got some good kills, pretty good gore. And I remember, like, the other day when, like, my dad wanted to watch this, I just put it on, he was like, alright, you can leave, and I'm like, why? And he's like, well, you shouldn't watch this, and I'm like, it's my DVD. I bought this in the shop and they just sold it to me. What do you mean I shouldn't watch this? Misery is a great psychological thriller. It's based on Stephen King's novel, and the film follows an author who, after a car accident, is rescued by his #1 fan. She's played by Kathy Bates in a career-worthy performance. However, the author quickly discovers that she has a dark obsession with his work, particularly his series featuring the character Misery. She delivers a Oscar-winning performance, and she expertly portrays the character's demeanor that quickly turns extremely sinister and psychopathy. Like, this is probably, like, my favourite, like, Stephen King adaptation, besides maybe It. Because, as I said, he does sort of recycle the same few stories, but this one's different, guys. It's a first! Alright, my last movie on this list is The Witches. I watched this movie in, like, my primary school one time. This is just a little story before I actually get to talking about it. So, I watched this when I was, like, 8 or 9, I believe, and this terrified me. Like, the part where they reveal the, like, witch where she's covered in all the makeup, that was like the most terrifying thing I've ever seen. I thought I thought she was gonna get me. Like, yeah, at the same time, rewatching it these years later, it's a whimsical adaptation of Roald Dahl's novel. I haven't read the book as well. The film tells the story of a young boy who encounters a group of witches led by the Grand Tire Witch, who is terrifying. While on holiday with his grandmother, the witches have a sinister plan to rid the world of children. And when the boy is transformed into a mouse, he must team up with his grandmother to thwart their horrible scheme. And yes, I've seen the remake, and while that does have some parts which I do enjoy, I still think it's not as good as this original. This original film is just so magical to me. Like, it's also the one which I watched when I was younger, so that's probably why I do enjoy it more. But, like, the new version just doesn't have that same charm. Like, it's got some really bad CGI. They changed the story and have him still be a mouse for some reason, even though, looking at a mouse's lifespan, that boy would have been dead in, like, what, 7 years? So, it's kind of weird, but there are some qualities I enjoy about the remake. Like, this movie, though, this original, is one of my favourites. It's got some great practical effects, particularly with the transformations, and it adds to the charm and creepiness. And all I'm gonna say is, this made me terrified of any woman that would, like, scratch their head when I was younger, because I'd be like, oh my god. Don't purple eyes, don't purple eyes, don't purple eyes. I would genuinely be terrified. When I watched Hearthstone, I was even more terrified. But hey, it's all good now. But that's just my list of my favourite 90s horror / just horror-esque movies. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. As I said, this wasn't in any official order. This is just sort of like, these are some movies that are like, I'm gonna talk about them. Here you go. And I definitely do think that there are some more that I can add, but these are the ones that I got in my brain at the moment for this video, and the ones which I've watched more recently for this video. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. What do you guys think? Do let me know in the comments, and let me know your list of your favourite 90s horror movies. I want to know. But until next time, thank you for watching this, and I will see you in the next one.